So, Daniel Alba, you just got back from PAX, and I not long ago got back from Gamescom, and we have played the exact same Dragon Quest 1+2 HD-2D demo. And this is pretty damn huge. We had Dragon Quest 3 HD-2D not that long ago, which was pretty faithful to the original, but these two are making a lot of changes. So, how did you feel in general about this?
No, I think this looks great. Very much like Dragon Quest 3, it essentially feels like an NES game, but just completely redone from, visually, presentation-wise. There's voice acting now. There's so much more to the world, it feels like.
The music, too. The music is a total, it's so nice. It's as good as the visuals are.
Yeah. Hearing all the music being redone as well, like everything audibly is such a pleasant surprise, and everything is just a treat to the senses. I love being able to explore this world the way it looks, and we pretty much played the exact same demo.
Yeah, it was 1 and 2. We got to play a chunk of 1 and a chunk of 2. Now, I did play the originals, and I played the original Switch ports of them, which were a little bit iffy. But Dragon Quest 2 has always been riddled with a few problems, being that in the original NES game and any other version of Dragon Quest 2 apart from this one, the encounter rate is really rapid. Like, you can't take more than a couple of steps without finding an encounter. But this time, everything feels really similar to what Dragon Quest 3 HD-2D did. So, for example, when you're walking around the world, the encounter rate is going to mirror that game. It feels like everything's kind of built off that game. Like, even the menu. If you go into the miscellaneous part, everything mirrors what the Switch 2 patch had for Dragon Quest 3. Mm-hmm. So the performance and quality mode are the exact same. It still runs at 60. It's still really high resolution. It's all just following the blueprint of what 3 did, which is really nice applied to 1 and 2.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I heard one of the criticisms of the original was just that crazy encounter rate to the point where it got kind of egregious. But playing this, like, in the best way possible, it feels like I'm playing Dragon Quest 3 HD-2D with all the quality of life improvements that it's had, like the more forgiving encounter rates, because I know like the original did have it. It was focused a lot more on the gameplay itself, and so I think they really bumped up that encounter rate to put you into that world and just throw monster after monster after you.
And also, like, Dragon Quest 2 was a big game when it came to refining RPGs in general, because it invented, or at least popularized and innovated the party system. But with 3 players in the original, there were still hurdles. And the prince would always just die all the time. He just felt weaker than everybody else. And they've added a 4th party member with the princess. And like that feels totally different. It changes every single combat encounter. You got more options just to choose from. So every single battle plays differently. The encounters are different. And the content's different too. Because a chunk of Dragon Quest 1 was actually tying into Dragon Quest 3. Because there was Robin Hood from 3. One of his ancestors is there now. So you've got a totally fleshed out game that ties further into Dragon Quest 3. And I think they've changed it so much to the point that Dragon Quest 2, particularly, feels like a new game.
Yeah, I never really realized that until I started to play this game that, like, oh yeah, we have I know there was a new party member, but I didn't realize, like, oh, now there's 4 instead of 3. And that makes a huge difference. Like, that's such a standard for so many Dragon Quest games that we have now. And so it further like helps modernize it to link them together, as you were saying, with the other Dragon Quest games.
Exactly. And then Dragon Quest 1 is very loyal to the original. It's still just 1 party member. But they have also changed things there as well, because you can just find spells out in the wild, like in treasure chests, just as items. And then you can learn them and get new things that way. So they've changed the progression of that. So it's still very much a one-man show. But the way that you build your character really highlights exploration, which is awesome.
In Dragon Quest 1, it's so interesting to do a JRPG like this, but you are just the one single character. It's such a different feeling. Like, because a lot of JRPGs, you start off as just by yourself and you slowly accumulate your party members. But yeah, they're mentioning like how this is just one where it's just you the whole time. And I know a lot of people who haven't played Dragon Quest, they don't realize that. They think like, oh, it's just... you're gonna get more party members later, right? Like, nope, it's just I think, yeah, it's just a single character, which is crazy.
And with the original, if you don't know what you're doing, it might take you a while. But if you do know what you're doing, or you're following a guide, that game's gonna last like 5 hours. And that's not the case anymore. But both 1 and 2 have a lot more stuff in there. And almost everything I saw in that demo was brand new. A lot of new scenarios, a lot of new areas. And the PR was saying that Dragon Quest 1 lasts like 15 hours now, which is substantially more than the original.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's just PR talk, but everything I saw in there kind of suggests that that might be the case.
It's just so fun to see how much that they can expand on this now. Like Dragon Quest is such a beloved series, and bringing the first game out, the first the first trilogy of games out is such a cool thing to see. It's going to be a complete saga of 1, 2, and 3 at this point, and yeah, I'm so excited to see more of this game because I love Dragon Quest 3 HD-2D. That was such a unique experience, and you can see how just so much of what we see in JRPGs is just it's founded here in these 3 titles, and much is built upon just these 3 games. It's so great to see that a lot of people will be able to experience that kind of that origin of many aspects that we play today and just kind of take for granted.
Yeah. Well, I also got a chance to interview the producer of the game after I played it. And I didn't get to learn too much because it was mostly just sort of more complimenting him on everything. So I was really enjoying it. But I did ask him about whether future games are going to happen like Dragon Quest V HD-2D, which would be just the best thing in the world. And they said like they're listening. They hear 5 a lot, so that'd be amazing if that happened. But right now they're focusing on 1 and 2. But I also asked about like the balancing of everything, like how adding another party member changes the game. And they mostly said what we've been saying, that Dragon Quest 2 is a little bit of an iffy one to go back to. So they've just tried to modernize it to 3 standards, and they've done that really, really well. I will say, like, 2 is often a scary one for people, because they hear the encounter rate is crazy high. They hear the difficulty gets really hard later in the game, and that's all true. And this is just different. It fixes all of that. And it really does just look outstanding. If you enjoy Dragon Quest 3 HD-2D, everything you loved about that game is replicated here. And it's really nice playing it on Switch too. Played the PS5 version as well. Just had a fantastic time.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I was playing Dragon Quest 2. The demo had me like sail a ship to an island. We went up a tower, and we got a pretty good feel of what combat will be at the point where you have your entire party and just are exploring a dungeon with mid-level monsters. With a fair amount of spells, and man, yeah, there's some challenge here. I know that the originals are pretty challenging in some aspects, but as someone who hadn't really touched or babbled too much with 1 and 2, yeah, I was getting a fair bit of challenge going up across this place and just getting lost. I was so lost. Most of me was just running around trying to figure out where to go in that one tower, but. I realized, yeah, I just feel like I was playing Dragon Quest 3 again because the encounter rate was pretty much on par with that, and my party member that knew Zin died. That's the resurrection spell, and so I went back to a town to bring them back to life. And one of the PR people came along like, "You're meant to be in the tower." I'm like, "I've got to heal my guy though." so I did a little bit of exploring off the beaten path and just seeing another town. Whereas I don't think I was meant to, but it had to be done. You got to bring him back. That was terrible. I remember I lost that party member as well, and so I went to the edge of the tower. I just fell off and just went down. And then it's like, oh, you could just zoom back to town. Like, oh, okay, I'll do that then. Yeah. Yeah, I was just shuffling as fast as I could because they were challenging us to get to the very end of that area because there was like nobody that had actually made it up there to beat the boss because it's pretty challenging. So I took it more of a challenge to speed run up there as much as I could. So I escaped from some battles, but I still participated in enough to get a good feel of how it works. And I'm just like, yeah, that's Dragon Quest.
Yeah. I am focusing mostly on Dragon Quest 2 there, because I think that's the game that really needs the enhancements. But 1 is also just spectacular by its own merits. It didn't need to change that much, but it's also tightened up the encounter rate. And it does feel like there's a lot more content in there. Because usually it was just kind of making your way through the world until you get to the Dragon Lord's castle. And that's mostly it. Like, there's beats along the way, but not a whole lot more than that. Whereas now it feels like there's a lot more story happening, to the point that both games really are just something totally new. Whereas 3 didn't really do that. 3 was just a translation of the NES game in HD-2D. Whereas these they feel like totally different games.
Okay, yeah. Seeing how it's been expanded to a much more like meaningful game where the story, the characters, everything's just been fleshed out so much more. Yeah, I think the first scene that I saw with Dragon Quest One was like you're just in a little town, and you're just exploring around and doing things before you set off and just explore the world. Like you can go pretty much. I was surprised how many places you could just go when you leave that little town.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't have that little marker on the map, like there was definitely not a waypoint in the original, but just being told where to go and seeing how much you can do in between those points, it was really impressive to see just how much we had to deal with back in the day when we didn't have anything like that. It was all about just exploring and discovering for yourself, and you can still do that here, but yeah, it's just so beautiful to look at.
Yeah, they did a really great job. And if you've played Dragon Quest 3 HD-2D, there's also some great payoffs. And I always played them in chronological order, but they released them in a different order this time, with 3 first and then 1 and 2 later. And I think it works that way too. So if you finish 3, I think you know what I'm talking about. But it'd be really, really cool to get into these worlds with that knowledge of 3, if you've done it. I know that sounds cryptic, but give it a go.
Oh, for sure. No, I know what you mean. Oh man, yeah, I'm just so excited to play these games. As I mentioned, I haven't really dealt too much with 1 and 2. 3 is fantastic as it is. Everyone should play 3. I honestly think that, these are some of my favorite games. The Dragon Quest games are some of my favorite titles in JRPGs, just for the legacy it holds, just for all the charm and personality that it has. It's so distinct from other JRPGs we see even today. And yeah, it's just great to see it come back like this in the HD-2D style. I'm not going to get tired of this style, John. I'm not going to get tired of it. It's beautiful.
No. I keep thinking I will, but then I play another one. I'm like, this is just delightful. Yeah. And just a quick word on performance. It's the exact same as Dragon Quest 3 HD-2D. So that was a locked 60. It's still locked 60. Still really high resolution. Right. Still really quick load times. So if you played the Switch 2 patch, it's exactly the same.
Right. Yeah. Well, is there any other aspects about these games that you wanted to bring up, John?
I think that's about it, really. You know, they've just done a really good job bringing these along. And it's a more interesting package than 3 was, because 3 was already so refined. And these are just kind of coming up to those standards, which is great. And I really, really hope that they keep doing these until the end of time.
They should. They always should.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching, and we have a lot more PAX coverage coming up soon, including more Square games like Final Fantasy Tactics, and also...
We also saw Octopath Zero at the show floor as well.
We have a lot more PAX stuff coming up as well, so keep an eye out for all of that. And thank you for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Till we meet again.